Hello, everybody. We're back at it again. And in today's segment, I'd like to talk about when is the best time to do your taxes. So a lot of people, they'll just come to us at random times, whether it be businesses or persons wanting their personal taxes done. And I guess before I kind of go over the final answer, I kind of like to give you just the ebbs and flows. So usually as a bookkeeper slash accountant slash CPA slash whatever you are, most people, and they handle businesses financials as far as their either financial records or payroll documents or even just their taxes. There's a lot of ebbs and flows as far as in doing so. So usually just to start out with the beginning months, so usually January, that's usually when most financial people are just jam-packed. So they have the tax forms as far as the payroll taxes. I'm not sure if you know this, but whenever you receive your W-2, you have that little section that is boxes taken out for federal deductions or Social Security, Medicare, or whatever else might be there. Those forms are usually due by the end of the following month of the new year. So usually January 31st or so forth. And some of them may be due earlier. Also, in January, usually sales taxes are due. That's usually, I'm in Texas, so those are usually due by the 20th of the following month. So, at the end of December 31st, they're due in January 20th or before then. And that's usually true for other states as well, because obviously they want to get their money. And then, usually by the same token, you usually have people, since they know they're finishing out the new year, they want to kind of get everything aligned and questions and so forth. And just to kind of, they want to be on top of things. Now, I understand, obviously it's good that they want to be on top of things, but understand as a financial person taking care of those records that I'm sure your days are very long days taking care of all this stuff. And you're trying to please everyone and go there. So usually January, and of course you can't even file in January. Usually the IRS says at the end of January and maybe at the beginning of February is when you can usually file. Now, with that being said, most financial people at the end of the month, they're very tired. So, and they may be able to do an easy tax return in February and because they have some downtime. They're just kind of waiting for people to get their stuff processed and so forth. March and April are usually pretty bad. March, because March 15th, there's a certain kind of corporation that has a tax return due, and everyone's trying to get their stuff before the deadline. And then even April, April 15th, synonymous with the end of tax season. I can tell you most people that are kind of more into the game than the younger people, they know just go an extension. Their stuff is all over the place, or they may not have the documents, or their spouse is out of town, or whatever, right? So most of those people go into extension. An extension typically grants the extension for personal tax returns for 6 months. Small businesses that have it due March 15th, that goes until September 15th. Some other types of businesses and personal, since your due date is April 15th, it'll extend it to October 15th. Now, I guess with that being said, so we kind of already know to avoid, filing your taxes around the deadline. I have a lot of small business owners. What I tell them, so right now it's like mid-October of 2025. And so usually for the next 2 months, maybe 3 months, we're slow, right? So we do bookkeeping, but we also do payroll and taxes. But payroll, that's usually the payroll taxes are due quarterly or bi-monthly. And taxes, of course, those are done, and people are kind of already heading out of town, already thinking about the holidays and so forth. I can tell you from a bookkeeper's perspective, definitely get your books done now. Don't wait to the beginning of the new year when everything is kind of, things are in full swing and everyone's super busy to get your bookkeeping done. Everything can get done during the last quarter. And it can get done, without any pressure. You can ask that your bookkeeper can ask you questions, get involved, and things like that. And then, the best part is if you have everything done and you're cross your T's and dot your I's, at the beginning of the year, getting your tax return done is very easy, whether it be business or personal, because you already have everything organized, right? So it's a cakewalk. You just, get your pile of stuff. Everything's organized. Here you go. Get it done in the next month or two before the deadline. Usually people, I guess some people and maybe business owners don't understand or don't want to understand. They just put their blinders on and ignorance is bliss. But with the IRS, you're charged 0.5% for every month that you don't make a payment, if indeed you do owe a payment. So let's just say, for example, you owe $1,000 on your tax return. The IRS doesn't care if you're an extension or not. They're going to charge you 0.5% every month until it gets turned in. Now, obviously, that's up until the extension deadline, and then IRS tends to do some silly stuff in terms of penalizing and interest and whatever else and things like that. I can tell you this is a good little trick here. If the IRS owes you money, they will not send you any letters regarding your items, and they're just like whatever, because they don't want to pay you. It's kind of a passive aggressive way just to say, just to not make payment. They're not going to remind you. Of course, if you do owe the IRS money, they will send you letters almost every single day, because they can. They're the IRS. They can do whatever they want to do, and you owe them money. So that's just kind of a good peace of mind. But I guess just to kind of get back to my original thesis, when is the best time? So if you need it done right away, like I said, if you get everything organized in the last quarter, the following year, usually February or March is the best, as long as it's not like complicated. It's just a W-2, 1099, everything's straightforward, everything is organized and up to date. Usually what gets people in trouble is when they don't have their stuff organized and they're rushing and they don't understand that it takes time to go through the documents. It takes time to get everything done, and especially if you're calling the IRS. The IRS is just as equally busy as your financial person. So they're not sitting around. There might be a whole time of 3 or 4 hours to get on the phone, if that, if you're lucky. So I guess as long as everything is straightforward and organized, February, definitely. March, maybe. April, that's kind of limited until after the 15th, and then whatever it is after that. And then also just try to avoid, obviously, the last minute rush of the extensions. So usually September 15th and October 15th, there's a lot of people coming. Usually the summer is usually pretty good to file. And then also, like I said, March and maybe a little bit of February. Anyways, just a little bit about us. We have a bookkeeping company, Metro Bookkeeping, www.metroacc.com. Myself and my partner, we have over 15 years of experience as far as in the industry, so we're fairly well acclimated to as far as what's going on and things and so forth. Check us out. Until next time.